Some eras, even from the biggest artists, come with so much hype but fail to deliver smash hits. In this video, we'll look at 8 albums that were supposed to have a lot of hits but didn't. Dawn FM by The Weeknd. After Hours in 2020 delivered Blinding Lights, one of the biggest hits of all time, and another #1 with Save Your Tears. Expectations were sky high for The Weeknd's follow-up Dawn FM. The album had a unique concept, a futuristic radio station hosted by Jim Carrey, and a sound that leaned into the 80s inspired production. The lead single Take My Breath was expected to be another massive hit, especially following The Weeknd's Super Bowl halftime show performance in early 2021. But despite critical acclaim, Dawn FM struggled commercially in comparison to its predecessor. The album debuted on #2 on the Billboard 200 with 148,000 copies in its first week, a solid number, but far below the 444,000 that After Hours had debuted with. Take My Breath peaked on #6 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it The Weeknd's lowest charting lead single in years. Follow-up singles like Sacrifice and Out of Time failed to make a significant impact, even though they sounded like certified hits when you first heard them, but they never got the proper push needed to become a hit. While the album has since become a cult classic, its singles failed to replicate After Hours' success, making it one of the most surprising underperformers in the modern era. 4 by Beyonce. When Beyonce released 4, expectations were sky high, coming off the massive commercial success of I Am Sasha Fierce, which spawned worldwide hits like Single Ladies, Halo, and If I Were a Boy. Many assumed that 4 would continue the momentum of Beyonce ruling the pop and R&B charts. The album had all the makings of a hit-filled era, a diverse mix of upbeat anthems like Countdown and Love on Top, and powerful ballads like I Care and 1+1. The lead single Run the World Girls was overhyped. It was meant to be the era's big lead single, but it failed to take off in the way her previous singles had, peaking on #29 on the Billboard Hot 100. The next single, Best Thing I Never Had, fared better, reaching #16, but it still didn't match the impact of previous ballads like Irreplaceable. The real star of the album turned out to be Love on Top, which became a sleeper hit, thanks to Beyonce's viral pregnancy reveal at the 2011 VMAs. In my opinion, it's an all-time classic, but it only managed to peak on #20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Despite not producing many major hits, 4 remains one of Beyonce's most beloved albums. Songs like Dance for You and End of Time have aged like fine wine, becoming fan favorites even without major chart success. While 4 may not have been the hit factory it was expected to be, it played a crucial role in shaping Beyonce's legacy. Man of the Woods by Justin Timberlake. By the time Justin Timberlake released Man of the Woods, he had built up a reputation of delivering albums loaded with hit singles. Future Sex Love Sounds in 2006 gave us chart-smashing hits like Sexy Back and What Goes Around Comes Around, while the 2020 Experience in 2013 produced radio staples like Mirrors and Suit and Tie. So, when Man of the Woods was announced, expectations were sky high. The album was promoted as JT's return to his roots, with the album heavily influenced by country and folk, but instead, it flopped, considering the expectations. The lead single Filthy was an odd choice, a weird robotic track that confused listeners and radio programmers at the time. The song debuted on #9 on the Billboard Hot 100, but quickly plummeted, failing to gain traction. The next single, Supplies and Say Something featuring Chris Stapleton, had some impact, with Say Something peaking at #9 on the Billboard Hot 100, but they never came close to the chart dominance JT was known for. Even his Super Bowl halftime performance, which should have bolstered album sales and streams, failed to revive interest in the project. While Man of the Woods debuted on #1 on the Billboard 200, it quickly faded from public consciousness. The album felt disjointed, and it killed the momentum JT had built over the years. Unlike his past projects, which had a clear sound and hit-making strategy, Man of the Woods struggled to find its place in modern pop music in his otherwise hit-filled career. Brave by Jennifer Lopez. By 2007, Jennifer Lopez was coming off a commercial and critical high with her dominance at the start of the millennium, and Brave was supposed to be her big return to pop dominance, a dance-heavy upbeat album that followed the successful formula of her early 2000s work. With big-name producers like Ryan Tedder, it was expected to deliver multiple hits. However, it ended up becoming a disappointment. The album's lead single, Do It Well, was a strong choice, an energetic radio-friendly track that mixed J-Lo's signature dance pop style with an edgier R&B sound. It performed decently, peaking on number 31 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it failed to carry the album. The second single, Hold It, Don't Drop It, performed even worse, barely making an impact on the charts and missing the Hot 100 entirely in the US. The album as a whole lacked a defining hit to keep it afloat, making it clear that it wasn't resonating with audiences the way J-Lo's past albums had. Ultimately, Brave debuted on number 12 on the Billboard 200, selling 53,000 copies in its first week, an underwhelming number for a pop superstar at the time. It quickly faded from relevance, and Jennifer took a long break from music before making a comeback with Love in 2011. Despite having all the right ingredients for success, Brave just didn't have the hit singles to sustain its momentum, making it one of J-Lo's most forgotten albums. Radical Optimism by Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa's Radical Optimism was a highly anticipated follow-up to Future Nostalgia, a hit-packed album that dominated the charts for years. After the overwhelming success of her previous album, which produced smash singles like Don't Start Now and Levitating, expectations were through the roof. Dua Lipa had established herself as one of the biggest pop stars of her generation, and with an album rollout that teased a new sonic direction, fans were eager to see if she could maintain her streak. Unfortunately, the singles were underwhelming. The lead single, Houdini, was solid, but it didn't have the chart-topping power her previous hits had, only managing to peak on number 11. The second single, Training Season, also underperformed, failing to generate the same excitement, only peaking on number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100. Compared to Future Nostalgia, Radical Optimism's impact on the charts was underwhelming. Instead of being an era filled with multiple top 10 hits, the album's singles were disappointing. While Dua Lipa remains a major force in pop music, the album was a huge step back. It wasn't a total failure, but it definitely didn't live up to the expectations of delivering hit after hit. Romance by Camila Cabello. Coming off the massive success of her self-titled debut album, we had every reason to believe that Camila's follow-up, Romance, would cement her as a pop superstar. The album launched with Senorita, a steamy duet with Shawn Mendes, that shot straight to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the biggest hits of 2019. With that level of momentum, Romance seemed to be on track to spawn multiple hits and keep Camila at the top of the charts well into 2020. However, things didn't go as planned. Despite the commercial success of Senorita, the album's follow-up singles struggled to make the same impact. Liar and Shameless were released simultaneously in an attempt to generate excitement, but neither really took off. Liar managed to peak on number 52 on the Billboard Hot 100, while Shameless barely scraped the charts. My Oh My featuring DaBaby performed better, reaching number 12. But by that point, the album had lost much of its initial hype. The lack of a major second smash hit left Romance feeling like a commercial underperformance. Part of the problem was timing. The album arrived in December 2019, just as the world was heading into 2020, a year when the industry was shut down because of the pandemic. The album was supposed to have hit after hit, but it had a disappointing performance. Queen by Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj's Queen was positioned as her most ambitious album yet, and it was meant to reassert her dominance in rap and pop after Cardi B's rapid rise in 2017, coming off the success of The Pink Print in 2014, which spawned multiple big hits like Anaconda and Only. Expectations were high for Queen to deliver another string of successful singles. However, despite Nicki's undeniable star power, the album struggled to produce smash hits. The lead single, Chun-Li, was a solid comeback track, peaking on number 10 on the Hot 100. But it didn't have the staying power needed to carry the album. The follow-up, Bed, featuring Ariana Grande, was a clear attempt at mainstream radio, but it failed to gain much traction, peaking at number 43. And Barbie Dreams gained some buzz on social media because of all the rappers she was talking about, but it didn't quite become a hit. Meanwhile, tracks like Good Form and Ganja Burn had potential, but never got the full push they needed to become hits. While Queen debuted on number 2 on the Billboard 200 with 185,000 first week sales, it lacked a signature hit to keep it relevant for months. The album was also overshadowed by Nicki's public feuds, including her controversial reaction to Travis Scott's Astroworld blocking the album from the number 1 spot, making her look like a sore loser. While I still think the album has some of Nicki's best rapping, it didn't quite live up to expectations. 12 Carat Toothache by Post Malone. coming off the back of Hollywood's Bleeding, an album that spawned a lot of diamond singles like Circles and Sunflower, which has now been certified 20 times platinum. There were high expectations for the follow-up. Post Malone was at the peak of his hit-making powers, and after taking a break, he dropped 12 Carat Toothache in 2022. The lead single One Right Now with The Weeknd debuted strong at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, but it quickly lost momentum. Despite its star power, the song wasn't really a great lead single. The album's second single, Cooped Up featuring Roddy Ricch, was another letdown when it peaked at number 12. Before disappearing from the charts. Other songs like I Like You, a happier song with Doja Cat, found some success, peaking at number 3, but was nowhere near the level of Post Malone's earlier run of back-to-back hits. The album didn't really have radio-friendly anthems. Ultimately, 12 Carat Toothache wasn't a complete flop. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, but it fell short of expectations for an artist who had been one of the most consistent hitmakers of the late 2010s. The singles didn't stick, and the album's streaming numbers couldn't hold a candle to his previous albums. Which albums that were supposed to have a lot of hits did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.